Gmail, when you open an account, you are able to configure your own window, saying that how will you look like, what will be the background and those kinds of things. Your contacts are separate, your other things are separate. So you have your own space in a generic solution. Similarly, you can create for many problems, you can create solutions, common solutions, where each state, each agency can just create their space, create their login, ID or whatever, and are able to do their work. So this kind of multi-tenancy, common application softwares is the one which is being developed. Attendance is an example. Today, attendance, all departments, there are 400 departments in the government of India which are participating, and there are 70,000 employees who are marking attendance or who are registered and probably 50 are marking attendance. Now the government has told us or mandated that by March of 2015, all the central government offices in the entire country should be on this platform, which will be about 3 to 4 million. I don't know how many central government servants we've got. Quite a number, I think, because here itself, in Delhi itself, the number will be about 1.5 lakhs, 2 lakhs. So we will have, this is possible, and everybody can have their own space, everybody can have their own website address and within that. And the whole onboarding process becomes very simplified. So what the consultant should do, rather than designing solutions for each, the same problem again and again, they should actually do a rapid rollout of these solutions in these areas, providing configuration help, providing capacity building, providing all those kinds of things. So let's use our energies in a creative manner rather than using them in everybody doing the same thing all over again and reinventing the wheel. It's no purpose. It's costly, it's inefficient, it's suboptimal, and therefore we need to really migrate to solutions which are transparent, cost-effective, optimal. That's what we should do. Lastly, empowerment of citizens. That's another third pillar of, so to say, Digital India. And empowerment is being done through digital literacy programs, through other programs. We are also saying that let the people participate in the decision making. This is very, very important, and the Prime Minister himself has launched a platform called mygov.in, and I'm sure many of you will be familiar with that. That platform actually allows, the platform makes it possible for every citizen of this country to participate in the governance of this country. And this is truly a digital democracy. Today, it was launched on 26th of July, and that means about 5 months before. 5 months have happened July, or 4 months. And 4.5 months, the number of users on that, and active users, is of the order of 700,000, 7 lakh users have their users. And this is not a typical gossip platform. This is a platform where there are topics, there are tasks, there are groups, and you are able to give your creative thoughts to this. You are able to do things and then showcase those things that what you have done. You are able to discuss also among yourself. So it is do, discuss, and disseminate. This is 3 Ds in the MyGov platform. This is working very efficiently, and let me tell you, all the policy ideas, major policy ideas, have actually come from this. The Prime Minister, as you know, talks on Sunday about Mann Ki Baat, and all the topics, proposals, etc., what he should talk about, what he should talk about in Australia, for example, also was, we called for a consultation from people of this country, and we received suggestions. All the logos and captions and taglines of the major schemes which have been launched, like Swachh Bharat, like Jan Dhan Yojana, all these schemes, they have come from that platform. It's an extremely digital, e-greetings on the Independence Day. The Prime Minister desired that, I will not send any physical greetings. I'll send electronic greetings on Independence Day. And on 11th of August, we actually just put it on the MyGov platform saying that we want ideas and creatives for greetings. And within 2 days, we received 4,000 responses. And actually, all the ministers, bureaucrats, and everybody selected from those greetings to send the greetings. And now we have collection of greetings for almost all the considered holidays of this country, all the festivals and everything. So this is a very creative platform. Today, the policy advice is not related, not restricted only to Delhi crowd sitting in India International Center. It has actually gone to the villages and nook and corner of this country. And believe me, we are having such creative, such great ideas. And the minister facilitated those 20 of the Digital India volunteers on the MyGov platform. The Prime Minister probably will meet them sometime in the near future. 20 top contributors to MyGov.in. So this is how Digital India program seeks to leverage the people's thoughts and views and sort of take them into policy domain. It also seeks to train people to make them capable. Now, one may think it's a great wish list, and this will really transform the country. It certainly will transform the country, provided it can be done. So now thoughts are there. The question is, how do we make it happen? And for that to happen, it is not the Department of Electronics and IT and the Government of India which will make it happen. It is not one individual or a group of individuals will make it happen. The entire country, the entire ecosystem will have to contribute towards it. The business community, the software industry, the system integrators, the state government, the municipal government, everybody will have to come together to really make it happen. Unless we make it as a movement and a mission. There are, every political will is there, the technology is there. I mean, technology, in fact, we have always fallen behind the use of technology. We have told technology to the entire world. We have been implementing technology everywhere in this world, except in our own, governance domain. And the time has probably come that we should leverage technology. And I have no doubt in my mind that if we leverage the available technology in a proper manner, I think we can really transform this country into a digitally empowered society and a knowledge economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, sir, and I request you to please be on stage with us. Can I please request once again Mr. Rishi Kapoor to kindly join us on stage to present a token of appreciation. Thank you so much. Still, I request you please be on stage with us. Alright, so here we go with the felicitation ceremony. Can we please have on stage with us Mr. A.V.V. Prasad from Government of Andhra Pradesh. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. A.V.V. Prasad. Mr. A.V.V. Prasad is Development Administrator of 27 years at district and state level in Government of Andhra Pradesh. I request you to please hand over the momentum, Mr. R.S. Sharma. Please do the honor. Thank you so much. I request Mr. A.V.V. Prasad to kindly say a few words.
I am one of those who believe that it can be done. I also believe that we have been painfully slow in this. I am of the opinion that since 2006, we have not taken the business correspondent model forward. To recall Tagoreji's words, we have been stringing and unstringing the instrument. The time to sing is not yet. I think we should not make any further delay in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, for the next felicitation, we have NSDL e-Governance Infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, NSDL e-Governance Infrastructure Limited is felicitated for the exemplary contributions it has made to e-governance sector. They went on to create e-governance system of national importance like the Tax Information Network for Tax Department and the Central Record Keeping Agency for Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. They have also implemented projects of database management, including those on behalf of Central Board of Direct Taxes, Central Board of Excise and Customs, Unique Identification Authority of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please request Mr. Gagan Rai, MD and CEO, NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure Limited on stage with us. I request Mr. R.S. Sharma to kindly present the momentum. Thank you so much. I request Mr. Gagan Rai to kindly say a few words.
As you all know, we started with the depository and we converted the entire capital market into what we call a DMAT mode in about 2 to 3 years, which was the shortest time in the world. We have today 1.33 crore DMAT accounts, which host securities worth 107 lakh crores of rupees, which is about 1.4 trillion US dollars. After that, we went on to taking up various e-governance projects. The 26AS, which you see today while filing your income tax return, that is the PAN-wise ledger, was originally created by NSDL. We then went on to CBEC from CBDT and created an online tax accounting system where the taxes collected throughout the country till last midnight can be seen by the finance minister, the secretary and all dignitaries on their table without asking for any paper. We are today working on a very important project which is called National Judicial Referral System. All the income tax judgments which have taken place in the last 30 years, we are digitizing and creating a search engine. There are about 80,000 judgments which have taken place and about 98,000 judgments which are pending in various courts and various income tax authorities. All this will be digitized and the public will be able to see what all is going in the income tax department. So e-governance is actually creating transparency by using the technology and delivering better services to public by the government. And we believe this is only the beginning and a lot is yet to be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. So with this, we also thank Mr. R.S. Sharma on stage. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly we will begin with the first panel discussion, but before that we take a quick tea and coffee break. So I request all of you to please come back in 10-15 minutes. Thank you so much. Of the session to join us on stage. Can I please request Mr. Neil Ratan, Management Consulting and Government Partner, PwC. Kindly join us on stage. And now I request our panelists to join us on stage. Can I please have Dr. Gulshan Rai, Director General Cyber Laws and E-Security, Government of India. A very warm welcome. Can I please request Mr. Anand Bhel, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. A very warm welcome. Can I please request Mr. Sanjeev Mittal, CEO, NISG. Please come. Can I please request Mr. Avinash Mathur, AVP and Head Marketing, Vodafone India. Can I please request Mr. Arjun Ramaraju, BP and Global Head Engineering, Construction and Operation, Wipro Technologies. Can I please invite Mr. Neeraj Gill, GM Public Sector, Microsoft Corporation. Can you please welcome him? And I request Ruma Shukla, AVP, Viant Technologies. Can you please welcome the lady on stage? Now I request our moderator, Mr. Neil Ratan, to take over.
Hello, yeah. Good morning and thank you. Actually, it's an honor to be here and moderate this very august panel here. So I understand what Commissioner is saying we could give really. So before we do much of introductory remarks, if I could just get your views, two things. One on what do you think smart city is and means? That has to be the first question. Since we have to leave early, we have to. It's simple, seemingly simple question. What does smart city mean? And you cannot but talk about your favorite subject about what new issues you see coming around. From a security standpoint, especially in context of a smart city with a lot of IoT and others come in play and from a privacy and security.
Thank you, Neil. First of all, I must thank you because security always, whether in my ministry or elsewhere, wherever I go, my number comes in the last. Today I am grateful to you that you have started with me the security and you have started really appreciating the objective and the focus on the security, the time to come. I really compliment you for this thought that though you are saying I have to leave, but certainly I will be here for another half an hour to say what or to provide any my views or comments on the issues which you may ask. Obviously, my participants will like to know about. Now, in the Internet of Things there, but you talk about it. First of all, I must say that it's really meaning that devices are talking to the devices and the devices which are controlling the environment. The human interface will diminish for a period of time when the Internet of Things there. It's largely the device talking to the device taking control of the entire system, entire scenario there. And this is what is going to be the smart cities there. Smart cities means you have the power grid, you have the water grid, you have all kind of systems which you deal with on a day-to-day basis, not for the communication alone, but any kind of a service issue that you deal with. They're all automated, they're all controllable, they're all interconnected aspects there. I may connect my washing machine to the internet and control the washing machine. I may control my microwave over there. I may control my house entry also. I can look at the things from the remote. Who's entering my house, who's coming out of my house, or any kind of assistance to talk about it that we can control, we can look at it. That's what we're talking about, the policing aspect there. Often there's a confusion that policing is doing FIR to the portal and to the FIR online portal. And this is what the meaning comes of it. Actually, the whole thing is that you look at the city in a smart manner, you look at the services which are integrated, you can monitor the services from any part, and it has to be seen from the point of view of efficiency depends on the scene from the point of security also there, that at single point of time you can monitor, you form a grid and you can monitor the entire activities in a comprehensive manner. That's what we talk about smart cities here. Now today the smart cities have been implemented in India also in a very piecemeal manner. There are power systems which are, there's a distribution system, there's a transmission system, there's a generation system. Each one of them is monitored comprehensively by the respective organization. But when you talk about the other aspect of the smart cities, the progress is more in terms of computerization of some of the concepts there. MCP, the house tax is monitored, or the water thing, they monitor the odor activities there. But these things are done in a little more in a discrete manner, in an isolated manner. When we talk about smart cities, all services will get integrated. Now, what impact it will create on the security, that's what the focus comes of the question. Friends, the internet was created without looking security in 1969 when ARPA came up, and then the whole systems came up, the people started, various companies started building up the various components and start integrating on the internet to talk to each other, to exchange information with each other, keeping the basic IP, TCP/IP protocol there. No one bothered about the security, and as a result, what we find today, the issues with the IT implementation. Any IT you implement, there are vulnerabilities. There no software comes up in the market which is secure, which has a vulnerability, patching people. Imagine in the Internet of Things, when we talk about smart cities, so many heterogeneous elements will get connected, so many proprietary technology will get connected, so many different activities or different sensors that will get connected there. If we don't implement, or I would rather be positive, that we need to ensure that while planning the smart cities, the heterogeneous elements should be connected in a more homogeneous manner, so that we are able to control this aspect, characteristics of the IT, of the vulnerabilities in hardware and software, and then we should be able to control it, monitor it, so that they are not exploited by the adversaries. And imagine if we need, in this interconnected world, if anyone exploits anyone, what devastation can cause anywhere in the entire system. And I think the security in the smart grids or smart cities become utmost importance right at the time of planning, designing, and implementing. Thank you, Deep. I will answer the question of